I'm fixing it. I'm filming it. Well, in this video I'm going to show you how to fix a power outage. Well, not really fix it. Nothing you can do. You got to wait for the main power guys to come out and figure out the problem on the transformer, or maybe a line got knocked down. But I'm going to show you what I can do with my little 3000 watt inverter, and I'm going to show you how to maintain your house in a blackout, especially during wintertime when it can get very cold here. So you could put your generator outside and run extension cords through your house door, or you can do what I did. Here's the start of an extension cord that goes into the house. This is your backup line. So, you know, I could put my generator in here, run a short power cord, plug it into here, then I've got that circuit go right here. See that red box? So basically my furnace is plugged into this switch, and that gives it power. That's normal house power. Let's say the power goes out. I go outside, start my generator, I unplug it here and plug it into the emergency backup circuit. So even if the main power comes on, it's all isolated. And then from there, guess where I went? And there's my backup plug to my fridge upstairs. So again, I unplug the fridge from the wall and plug it into that. I'm going to show you how to create an emergency circuit for your house when there's no power. Obviously, you want to keep your furnace going in wintertime. You also want to keep your main fridge going too. So between those two devices, that's enough for a generator. But make sure you get a generator inverter. You need nice clean power, especially for your furnace. It's got a lot of electronics in it. So just don't use a generator. Make sure it's a generator inverter. I have a 3000 watt Honda, and it's more than enough to power my furnace and my fridge at the same time, but nothing else. If I'm going to say want to plug in my microwave oven, I better make sure my furnace isn't running, or vice versa. And basically a microwave oven does take up a lot of power, so I would make sure both of those are off. Then plug in your microwave oven, heat up your meal, and then plug back your fridge and your furnace. But basically, outside is your inverter. Then I have an extension cord to my little plug that's hanging out, and that is just another extension cord which goes to an electrical box at my furnace, and then I daisy chain to another electrical box upstairs to my fridge. I'm going to show you how you can do that. It's very easy, and when things get minus 30 below, you want to make sure your furnace is running, because I don't have a wood stove. So let's get on with this project. Okay, so you're going to need, of course, some boxes, some covers, some plugs, some connectors for the box to hold your wire, some morettes, and some type of stapling against the wall. That way you can hold your cord in, or your extension cord. And of course, an old extension cord. And make sure you get a good heavy duty extension cord. Don't get no thin wire one. Get a very heavy duty one, just to be on the safe side. I'm also going to show you if you want to use armor cable. I'm going to show you how to wire that stuff too, because it's a little bit different, but pretty similar nonetheless. It's just harder to work with. And of course, you're going to need some tools. With electrical, you always need either a number 2 or a number 1 wire strippers, and I recommend every household should have one of these. It's a plug tester. So just to double check your wiring, but let's say you are unsure of another plug that someone wired by themselves. This will tell you if the hot's reversed, there's no ground. Very handy tool, and I'll show you they light up. If red is on, well then something is bad. It's no good. So let's get going here, and I'll show you how to wire up an emergency circuit. Okay, let's talk about a plug. Plug has connectors here, connectors there, and this guy. All different colors, right? Silver, greenish, and bronze. All wires, 120 volt, 15 amp wires, are color coded the same thing, whether it be an extension cord or your inside normal 14-2 wire. Green signifies ground, just like the copper wire, the bare copper wire. Okay, those two are always going to be the same. That always goes to green, the copper, that's the ground. Okay, next, white again, be it your extension cord or your normal household wiring. White always goes to silver. Your white is called your neutral wire. Your black, that's called your hot. That always goes to the bronze colored screws. One way to remember it all the time is B for bronze, B for black. They always go together. Now, we want to make sure everything is grounded properly. And that's what you have back here. That's a grounding screw. And that grounds your box. It also will ground your plug. So we want this fully grounded, because this will tell you if it's not properly grounded. Okay, so the best way to cut your wire, get a nice sharp X-Acto knife, and don't go like this, because you're just going to cut down to the main wires, and that's not very good. So best to go in a straight line, just enough to go through that outer coating. There, you can usually spread it apart, and since you've already scored it, you just have to pull really hard, and there you go. Cut off the excess. Grab your wire cutters. Select the right gauge. Cut off about 1/2 inch. Since this is not solid, it is stranded. Stranded meaning it's many wires. Twist them together, so get them nice and tight. Okay. Now we're ready to put it into a box. Here's the box. These are called knockouts. So basically just take one of your drivers and it might seem a little hard, but it's only connected on one end, and you just go back and forth a few times. And there you go. Discard that. Okay. You're going to want one of these. Basically, it just holds your wire into your electrical box, so it cannot get pulled out. You want to make this as safe as possible. So that unscrews, and then you put this on the outside of the box. Screws up. Reach inside and then put your nut back on. Sometimes it's easier just to hold the nut and turn this. Get it nice and tight. And sometimes take your screwdriver and you can kind of go against the edge and get it nice and firm. Okay, so push this inside. Make sure you cut enough wire so it's easy to work on. This is pretty short, but it's just a demonstration. But I'd recommend, like, cut yourself a good 10 inches and have exposed wires. You can push the wires in there and it makes it a lot easier to work with. Okay, so let's get that inside. And this is the number 2 here, so tighten these. Cord cannot come up. You are going to need a short piece of normal 14-2 house wire, because we want this ground. And we want to connect it to the box. So let's get that connected right now. There you go, that's what it looks like. You say, why such a long cable? Well, what I do is I go about halfway. Wrap it around, tighten it, then what I do is I can connect this ground to the ground coming from the extension cord. But hold on, we're going to another box with this, aren't we? So let's punch this knockout out and put another cable in there. So this is what it's kind of looking like. Okay, we got the ground already on the plug, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a Murette and we're going to connect all these grounds together. That's the first thing you want to do. Okay, get it all at the same length. Take your Murette, put it on just like a normal screw, making sure all those wires are in there, and twist as hard as you can. And when you think it's tough, go a little bit more. You can't go any more. Give a good tug on those wires. They have to be tight. Once that's good and done, push that in there. Okay, why don't we get our neutrals connected? Make sure they're good and twisted. Give it a good bend. And remember, the neutrals go on the silver. Remember to have your hook facing in the same direction as you're turning. Now this one. Great. Let's flip it over here. And let's get our hots on, or blacks. Good twist. Put a nice hook on it. And again, make sure they're going in the hook is going in the same direction as you're turning. And there we go. So black with bronze. You got your neutral on the silver, and we got our copper slash the green wire all connected and to the box. So now this box is complete. Sometimes you just push down, making sure they don't touch each other as you're pushing down. And let's get it screwed into the box. There we go, we got one box done. So pretend that one's going to your furnace. If you want, we can put a metal cover on. Get that screwed in there. Before you actually put anything in it, you maybe mount it to a wall with a couple screw holes. Put a couple screws, screw it, and then you can do all your wiring. Don't do it after the fact. Okay, you got to get that box mounted first. And then take one of your Sometimes they look like this. Pound it in. And pound it in within 2 or 3 inches of your box. That way nothing can get tugged on it and pull it out, and makes it a lot safer. And then after that, go every 12 inches or 14 inches, however you want. Okay, let's go on to the next box. Box number 2. This will be your second plug. This one says upstairs near your fridge. Okay. Our other plug. And since we're not continuing on, why don't we tighten 2 of those screws? Because we're only going to need 1 on each side now. So don't leave them loose. Get them nice and tight. That way they can't back off and cause any harm. Okay, again, our ground. And then let's get these 2 ground wires connected. Get a hook on it. Let's get our ground. Let's get our hot on. Black on bronze. B for B. If you remember that, you will be safe in your electrical wiring. Get a good hook on it, hook in the same direction where you're turning, and tighten. Okay, push it down. That's basically what you have here. This is what I have here. So this will be plugged into your generator, and then let's test this out. I have an extension cord here that's plugged in. And this is what I'll show you about what that tester does. 2 lights means good. And if you want to see some of the other description there, you know, neutral, reverse, not grounded and everything. But since we got 2 good lights, we know the power is good. So let's plug this into our new boxes. Okay, perfect. Of course it's going to be the same, but you know, doesn't hurt to check. Perfect. What about our last box? Perfect. Perfect. Well, let's examine what we have here. We got this last plug to the first plug, and then to outside to the generator. Well, let's say you wanted to turn power off to these without having to go outside. Maybe we should put a switch in here, an on-off switch. That way, with the flick of a switch, you can turn power off to both these. So, why don't we add that to our circuit? It's a little bit more different. This is a normal on-off switch. All you see is 2 bronze screws. No neutral screws, and no ground screw. So let's get that added to this circuit. Okay, so I am going to show you how to wire in a switch. So there's the outside power from your generator. It'll go to this switch, which will turn on and off, and it'll control these 2 plugs. My last plug, and this is my first plug. And I'm going to throw in a little twist here. Sometimes you might want this, instead of being an extension cord, a heavy duty extension cord, you might want some armor cable. And you're going to say, well, how do I work with that stuff? I'm going to show you. So here's the armor cable, and basically a good hand's width is how much cable you want to go into each box. So grab that cable, and it's strong, but bend it Keep bending it until it kinks. And then as you pull it apart, just twist it a little bit. This is where you're going to need some side cutters. Get in there, make sure you're not cutting the wire. Okay, and then pull it off. Here's your paper. And that end, just make sure it's not too sharp. Okay, let's do it on the other end now. Again, a good hand width there. Bend. Can't get really hard until it breaks. And then as you bend it back straight, you twist it. Take your side cutters. There. Again, take that point off. Now, when you work with armor cable, they recommend to put these on. So that goes over your line. And you push it on. And what that does is it kind of protects the sharpness of the armor accidentally piercing that when you tighten it onto the box. Again, we got another one. Let's do the other end. And let's push it on. There we go. That's what it'll kind of look like. Okay. So here's the wire, the cord coming from outside. Let's get that in. Get it tight to the box. Let's bring this in from outside. Okay. If you notice, there is no ground on here, so by rights the switch is grounded to the box. So make sure your box is grounded. So let's take the solid strand, wrap it around the grounding screw that's in the back of the box. Get it nice and tight. Now take the ground and let's get a moret on it and put it on the ground here. Remember, nice and tight. Do a tug test. It cannot come out. Push that in. Now, since these two screws are the only screws on it and they are bronze, what does that tell you? They only get connected to the blacks. So that means these white wires, they get connected together. So let's get those connected. I'll get another moret here. Get as tight as you can go. Good tug test. Let's push those out of the way. That plier will help you with the solid one. Get a good hook. Back these off. Now, sometimes you might see an H or a dot. That tells you that's the hot side of it. This is the plugs or anything else. So if you want this to orient properly for off, see there's a little dot there. So that tells you it's physically on. You don't have to, but some will even say on off right on the actual switch. So where it says H, or sometimes there's a dot, all plugs are a little bit different there. That's where you want to have the main power coming in to this terminal. Okay, and then let's get that onto the other terminal. Black and bronze, B and B. Remember that, you won't go wrong. Okay. There we go, that circuit is done. Let's get these screwed in. And the cover, well, I don't have a metal cover, but there's your cover. Okay. Let's get this going on into the box going here. Remember, this was your first box before we added the switch, so let's get these in here. So here is our circuit now. We have our on-off switch, our first plug, which is controlled by that switch, and likewise this is controlled too. This will let power through this circuit. So let's test everything out. I will get this plugged in. Plug it in, and there you go. So on, off. On, off. So there you go. Here is a complete emergency circuit for yourself. And hopefully you never have to have this. 30 below minus whatever. At least you can keep your furnace running and keeping your house from freezing. So you don't have to do this. You can have your generator inverter outside and run an extension cord through your house, and hopefully no one trips on it, the door doesn't shut on it. So this is kind of nice. It's out of the way. If you can put it in your in your floor and all that, and like I said, my circuits, they're all painted red, so you know that's an emergency circuit. And to me, this is far better than putting an extension cord throughout your house and not tripping on it and that. Don't even think of bringing your generator inverter inside your house. So hope this helps you. And what I'll do, I'll actually draw this out so you can actually have a little bit of a schematic. So you don't have to watch this whole video. You can just look at that schematic and you'll understand how to properly wire your two plugs and a on-off switch, and then you're safe. Well, good luck. So in a nutshell, here's a simple wiring diagram of what we just did. So the black, which remembers your hot wire, your white, which is your neutral wire, and then your green / copper, that's your ground. So it goes to the on-off switch, the black on bronze screw, B and B. Always remember that. And then your neutral, they get wired together, and then your ground to the box, and then wired together. To your first plug, your black on the bronze, and then your white on the silver screw, and then your green copper ground onto the box, and then onto the plug itself. And that's also connected to the next box ground. Make sure that ground on the box is connected to the plug as well as the next ground. Box here, make sure your black is on browns, connected to the first one, your white on your silver, and then there you go. There is a complete circuit.